I tend to always keep a lot of these types of things like interconnected. So it's like, oh, with the avatars they can help with the game design, and then with the game design they can help with animation, and then the animation can help with the avatars, and then kind of doing the circle of making all these different types of things work in terms of like I can use each of these different things to improve.
Welcome to Metaverse Degen. I'm Lion.
I'm Old Man Raptor, and we got one hell of a guest today, and whoa, boy, do we ever. And that is...
Hello, everybody. My name is John Coday.
Oh,
I keep looking at you instead of the camera.
It's okay. Look wherever you want. It's no big deal. What do you most know?
Hey,
I'll look
I
at
do
the
this
window
once-
on like the
I do
20th
this
story on
too.
this world.
I do this too, but nobody pays attention, so, if I ain't talking to it, that's my problem.
Well, let's just
Like I said, I'll look at the 20th story of one of these buildings. I don't know what the heck did you bring me to.
I think it's an apartment complex inside some giant tower.
Only like
Yeah.
2 people are home right now. Actually, hang on.
3.
About 5.
Whoa.
Numbers.
Well, with that said, what are you most known for? How'd you get started? What got you into Vrchat?
Oh God. So what I'm known for is a multitude of different things. I write and draw a comic series on a web platform that I run called Sierra Brother Magic's Curse. That web platform is called Mythos Makers. I own and operate that website for several different people, including ZM Art, who writes and draws Project Valkyrie. I make video games, including Shenanigans that I made about a little more than a year ago. I also am a animator, currently working on a 3-minute cartoon for Shenanigans as well. And in Vrchat, I used to do meme avatars.
Oh, wow. So what got you into Vrchat and what got you started with all of those from animation and art and stuff?
So animation and art has kind of been a continuous thing for me throughout my life. So especially like in my later years of high school, I started getting more and more into art more seriously. Like, hey, I actually want to improve on my artwork and get going more into that. And then that's whenever I initially started this Year Bell comics. I then went back and redid those comics whenever I got a lot more better in my artwork, mostly thanks to my right-hand person, Garden Wolf. And so she helped me improve my artwork and then get from there. Animation, I've also just loved. I'm a huge Looney Tunes fan, so I love the animation within there, especially Bob Clampett. So just that kind of stuff, and then leading up to that, and then getting into Vrchat, I had discovered Cyberchimp's work, him doing meme avatars. And so whenever I discovered a lot of his stuff and seen what can be done with avatars, I was like, I want to see as if I could try doing this. So I took my hand at it. I don't do it as much anymore nowadays, but I took my hand on it. I've made quite a few avatars with a Fox character that I made a long, long time ago, bringing that character back and using him for the avatars, and then just doing pretty much very Looney Tune-esque type of avatars of just like whatever weird type of bits I can do. Because I can't keep up with any of the recent memes. I'm terrible at it. So I just do all the old stuff because that's what I love.
Oh, wow. So with your art and stuff, when what started Mythos Makers and what you're known for on that front, what got everything that started there? Where did it come from?
That kind of came naturally because several of us were forming that group of people. So, like myself, Garden, Mr. Aiden Gaming is another person. He does a lot of videos on YouTube, specifically on first-person shooters. ZM Art does webcomics and a bunch of stuff there. And so, just a bunch of us kind of meeting up together and wanting to do a lot of creative stuff together. We kind of created that group with the intention of let's see how much stuff we can do and how much we can also elevate other people's creativity as well. So we have several different people in the group. Another person is Maslow's Bubbles for writing, Bunny Girl 93 for her voice acting work, Dizzy Dummy as well for voice acting, and then just several other different people that we bring on for either 1 or 2 projects or something. Like we brought on Vanessa Wolf for music for the Shenanigans game and elevated a lot of her stuff through that. So just seeing what all we can do creatively, just how much weird stuff we can do. It's just like, let's try this idea.
Okay. What were some of your earlier works in terms of art, animation, video games, and your creative fronts? What were the first ones, and what inspired them?
I mean, a lot of my stuff is Sierra Bell. Most of what my inspiration from that was a mix of One Piece, Full Metal Alchemist, and I believe there's something else, but mostly those two. And just kind of reading those mangas, because I kind of started on anime, but then I read mangas more, and then I enjoyed those, and which brought me back more into creating art. So then a lot of those types of things, what really kind of got me back into it throughout my early high school years, and then just continuing that throughout time. So Sierra Bell is the longest running thing that I've done.
Okay.
Like I said, I did it initially once whenever I was in high school, and then I restarted it several years back. Did it on Webtoon for a little while, and then whenever Mythos Makers was created, switched it over to there because Webtoon isn't bad. It's just the vertical scrolling format I wasn't a fan of, and so I then made everything towards like the horizontal scrolling, kind of more traditional comic and manga style.
Okay.
And then in terms of animation, I've done like spatterings of animation throughout time in both like 2D and 3D. And so now it's just kind of like, I've gotten my skills of art progressed so much, and my skills of 3D modeling and stuff like that has progressed so much towards like, okay, now I can really start honing in on these types of things and show exactly what I'm now capable of.
Okay. So for those who may not know, what is Sierra Bell in some of your works, and what is it about?
Sierra Bell is the webcomic series on Mythos Makers of a magician who has spent a whole lot of her early life working on her skill as forming her magic. So the full series is called Sierra Bell, The Magic's Curse. And so she's been improving her skills as magic to be able to use different spells and some of her abilities to be able to help other people that are in need. But over time, the struggles of doing all that and everything going on through there, as well as past younger trauma that she's having, make that very, very difficult for her. So her learning all of that while still trying to help others at the same time.
Okay. You got one, Mr. Raptor?
Oh, I sure do. You said you're into Looney Tunes?
Yes, sir.
Okay. See, I'm a Bugs Bunny fanatic. Big time. I'm a collector and stuff like this. So what Looney Tune do you think represents you?
Early Daffy Duck, and whenever I say like Daffy, like Bob Clampett Daffy Duck, not Chuck Jones Daffy Duck. So that would be the more like crazy zany Daffy that's doing all sorts of wacky things. Chuck Jones as Daffy Duck is more of the greedy, swindling Daffy Duck, whereas the Bob Clampett and I believe like Tex Avery as well. Their Daffy was very insane.
Gotcha. I understand. And my other question, if when you came into VR and stuff like this, what's the weirdest or the strangest thing you ever seen?
That's a really good question. And I hope that you've not asked anyone else on this show that exact question. Because if you have, I would be very, very upset, and I would cry right here and right now.
I ask that question all the time with everybody in it because everybody's got a different answer.
You made him sad, Raptor. You're supposed to lie to him.
I'm not gonna. What? Are you? God. Oh, let's lie to the person we're interviewing. Why not? What the hell? We're not here. We're somewhere else. Hey, what the hell? Just make it feel great. Yeah.
I love watching other episodes as well. I'm going to call out some previous guests as well, because some of y'all are lying. Some of y'all in some of your episodes are lying. I'm going to call out Hugh, but some of y'all are not telling the truth. I know some of y'all have seen some really weird things in this game. Come on now.
Well, to be fair, I'm sure some people don't feel comfortable sharing the things they find to be the most weird. Let's be honest.
That's
some
fair.
of you who call VR home are degenerates.
Very much
I'm not
so.
gonna because here's the thing. I'm gonna let you know right now. I'm not gonna tell the weirdest thing that's happened to me. Just one of the things that's happened to me. That's
Hey,
weird.
good to go.
Calling you out on your own thing, you're lying then.
I am at least upfront with my lying nature right here. So
You don't lie. You just stretch the truth a little bit.
I tell
and
tall
fill them.
tales.
There you go. See, he's got it. He knows how to run the situation without hitting the flat tire and going thump, thump, thump down the road. It's no problem.
I know how it works. I know how it all works. One of the more stranger things that had happened to me was it was like me and a small group of friends were at a sunset bar. It was like a group sunset bar that was going on. And we were just kind of hanging out, chilling. And some random person, I don't know why they went to me, but they just kind of went up and kind of took their hand just like right up into my crotch here and just did like that number to me. And it's like, I just looked at it, I was like, what the heck? I just looked at him, I was just like, you okay, buddy? Like, you need some attention? Like, what's going on there, buddy? They just kind of nodded and then took off somewhere. And I'm like, okay, that's that. Someone later comes up to me and it's like, is there a problem over here? And I was like, no. It's like, someone said that you had said something to someone. I was like, oh, the guy that diddled me? I made fun of him a little bit because he did that out of nowhere. And then I don't know. It's like, well, if you have any issues, you need to let us know. And I'm like, I can take care of myself. I'm good.
Sorry, I took that number at the door. I don't have to be number 11 anymore. I'm 12. Thank you. Come again.
Yeah. So that's at least one of the more stranger things that has happened to me. Other than that, we're not going to talk about the other things.
Here we go. We're on past that stream. We don't,
Yep.
Hey, take the right corner, would you? I am. It's on dry land. I'm getting it.
So, throughout your history, how long did it take you to fall into your style that you like most? Or did you kind of go into what you liked immediately in terms of like what you chose?
My art style, so it very much depends because there's like the Sierra Bell style, which I draw most of, and then the Shenanigans art style. The Shenanigans art style took a long time because it was kind of like getting me out of the way that I'd drawn like simple things as a kid to like actually drawing like these characters pretty well. And that was a collaboration between myself and Garden. Garden had helped me a ton with making those characters look better in terms of how they look now. And then the Sierra Bell art style is mostly taken from inspiration from One Piece because I love One Piece's art style a lot. And so that's kind of like, other than Shenanigans, that's kind of like how I end up drawing most characters nowadays. It's very similar to like One Piece. It's still kind of my style, but the comparisons are pretty clear of like, this is where I had gotten that from. That took like 3.5 to 4 years to really kind of hone in. And even now I'm still working on improvements. Like there's definitely more areas where I can improve on my art and stuff, but it's one of those deals where it's like it takes a long time to get better.
So how long
to wrap Looney Tunes? To wrap Looney Tunes into this again, Chuck Jones said in an interview that he was whenever he was in art school, one of his professors told him that it takes like 10,000 bad drawings to start getting to some of your good drawings. You just need to get all of those bad drawings out of you, and then you can start doing your good drawings. So I feel like I've got about another 1,000 bad drawings in me, and then I should maybe be good, but I'm bad at math, so.
So how many bad drawings did it take for you to become more confident in your work when you look back at it?
I think I only really started being more confident in my work about 1.5 years ago. So that was like, since I'd been in high school, which I was probably about like 18 or so, I'd say about whenever I was about 23, I started getting more confident. And I'm 25 now, about to be 26. So probably about 1.5 years to 2 years ago is about whenever I started getting more confident in my artwork.
Okay. So what was some of the moments that led you into from like drawing for yourself or recreating things you enjoyed, then going into like doing a webcomic series? What was that moment that made you want to even start a webcomic series to begin with?
I mean, my own creativity. Just growing up, I had always just found like different creative ideas and creative thoughts throughout just growing up, and so then like different ideas that I'd want to potentially like make into something. And Sierra Bell was just one of those ideas that I had spent like I think I'd kind of conceptualized her character when I was in middle school, and then just over time just kind of worked on her, perfected her, kind of all the way up to the point where it's like, okay, I have a character that I really like. Let's go ahead and kind of start writing some things for her and kind of the idea of what I want. So at this point, like now, like the entire series is pretty much planned out at this point because I've spent so much time like there many times I'm in the shower. That's where I get a lot of great ideas. And so just getting all those ideas at least somewhere to where it's like, okay, now I've got the start, and then I'm working through, and then I've got the end essentially figured out. So, and from there, there's another plethora of ideas of not only just Sierra Bell, but shenanigans and other things that I will not talk about today. But we'll talk about it at another point.
Ooh. So, may I ask, what is shenanigans? May I ask, and when you're doing your work to create a series or shenanigans or CR, how do you do concept or do you just jump right into the project? What is the prep like?
There's a lot of concept. The thing about shenanigans and Sierra Bell is that there's so much backlog history to where it's like there's a lot of other concepts and stuff for other ideas that I have. There's a concept, and then that kind of is if there's a new series or a new character or something, then it's like, okay, I've got this character. Let's work with it for a little bit. Let's see as if we can refine it and see how the story is. And if the story, at least for me, is good, then it's something that I can start even like pitching to like other friends and something like, hey, is this something that sounds interesting? And if they like it, then I'm like, okay, then that's at least a little bit of a green light for me to kind of push this idea forward. Like there's a couple of things that I'm working on right now that are just those little ideas of like, hey, I'm just going to send a friend. Does this sound good or interesting? Or does this sound funny or anything else like that? Like that kind of deal. But with Sierra and Shenanigans, like Sierra is just an ongoing comic that's kind of running for a while. Shenanigans is different because it was the game and then it's going to be the cartoons. So with Shenanigans, like the tone is like between Sierra and Shenanigans is like very different because Sierra Bell's a bit more of the serious size. Shenanigans is my version of Looney Tunes, essentially. Like it's very cartoon, it's very goofy, Tex Avery and Bob Clampett, like rubber hose animation, like that kind of stuff. And it's just fun for me because it's like I love cartoons, I love that kind of fun stuff. These are characters that I've had for a long time for that purpose. And so it's like the cartoons, like the game was great. My only complaint about like the game at this point is like because it's a 2D platformer. It's fun. It's something that I've always wanted to make, but it doesn't express the characters as well as I'd hoped. And so with the cartoons, I hope that I can be able to express those characters a lot more because they're such fun characters. Simon and Sabrina are so much fun. So just stretching those characters out to it's like how much more fun stuff can we do with these characters in the form of a 3.5-minute cartoon, essentially.
So I do actually have a question for you, since Shenanigans was a 2D platformer and then can become a cartoon. What did you mean by the Shenanigans as the game wasn't able to portray the characters as well? Were there certain strengths or fallbacks to both styles of entertainment with the mask?
I think just because of the limitations of my abilities to make a game at the time, I was able to insert bits of character that was able to explain, like, oh, Simon and Sabrina are crazy, like those types of things. There's like they're both like brother and sister, and they're crazy. Ray is a magic witch cat that is a very caring and loving individual. Beast is just no brains. So it was able to get at least the basics of those characters out. But I feel like with a cartoon, that is able, especially like is if you're able to animate it really well, especially with rubber hose. then you get to express that kind of craziness a whole lot more, and be able to focus on that instead of having to also focus on, because you can have your animations be really wacky, and I do believe that the animations that were able to be produced not only just by myself but also some of the other people like Garden and a few people kind of helped with that. I do believe that the animations that we did for it were really good, but I do think that balancing that with gameplay and levels and enemies and everything else on top of getting that out, especially with as small as a team, because like I was the only programmer on the project, and it's like, so trying to balance all that stuff out with that made that difficult. I'm still very proud of the project that we made. I still think that the game is fantastic, and I do believe that what we made was the best of our ability. But I think that I want to do more with these characters, and doing something like that towards Renton is able to kind of really, really show off kind of what these characters are more, because I do believe in these characters hardcore.
So with Shenanigans, what was the experience making a game like? Was this your first game?
It was not my first game. It was the largest game that I had made at the time. The first game that I made was a little game that I made at Game Maker Studio a while back called Labyrinth. That was out of spite against a software development college that I was going to at the time that was not doing very well. So I was like, I'm just going to make a game out of spite. So that's where that came from. I then also made a VR game based off of the Sierra Bell comics with one of the main antagonists in it called Demon 7. I made that game, and then that led into Shenanigans. So Shenanigans wasn't the first game, but it was the biggest game that I've made at the time, and probably the game that I am definitely most proud of.
Okay. So between the three, how was the Shenanigans different than the other two, the VR game and Labrat? How was the experience creating and producing such a thing from each other?
Very much larger, because Shenanigans has always been a game that I've been wanting to make for a long time. The gameplay is very heavily based off of Rayman Legends, and Rayman Origins. So I'd always kind of wanted to make a game in those types of styles. And so I would say that Labrat and Demon 7 were my learning experiences of game development. Labrat was made in Game Maker Studio. That kind of got me a little bit to more stuff. Unity, and then Demon 7 was made in Unity, which then also led into me making avatars, which then the avatars kind of helped me learn more about Unity in general as well for Shenanigans. So it would be like they're not too different. VR is definitely a very large beast. Don't do VR game development if you're an indie. Good Lord, it is horrible unless you have a larger team. Don't do it whenever you're a single person. Good Lord. But those games and some of these different types of things were what led up to that larger project, which is kind of how I like to work. I like to do a lot of small things and then lead up to a bigger thing. So.
Okay. So now you mentioned, because of some of the content you've watched on YouTube, I believe Cyberchimp led you into Vrchat and creating goofy avatars. What was some of your steps in Vrchat like, and what led you to want to make avatars? And what were some of your first ones?
It was quite literally watching Cyberchimp's content and being like, I want to try that. And then I got on and started trying it. I don't know how I was, because I got in, I had a really rough model that I just slapped together, made in, oh my god, what's that one like MMD software? I don't remember what it's called, but it's like the one where it's like you can pick and choose. It's like a character creator for anime characters, and it ain't good either. So I don't remember what it's called. It's gonna come to me like later tonight. I'm like, but I did that, and then I did a Mishi base and did avatars with that, and then that led into the first Fox version, which I had commissioned initially, and then did some small edits. Then I made my own Fox model with Fox 2.0, and then did that again with 3.0, and then 4.0. So kind of that became more of a journey of just the same kind of thing of learning. It became all these little steps and figuring out different things in order to get to the point where I was able to more confidently make 3D models, which is at the point where I'm at now. In terms of doing all the meme avatars, it was about the same way. To where it's like I got in and I just jumped in cold feet. I did like just jumping in and just started trying things, and then I met people through VRC, which then led me up to where I am now, meeting different people and doing things and just being goofy. I don't know how else to describe it besides that, just talking to people and being goofy, and then just meeting people along the way, and then improving what I had made all along the way.
Okay. So what is the Fox model, and what were some of your favorite editions of the models you've made so far?
So the original Fox model, and I'm scrolling through what is right now 197 avatars.
Holy shit.
There are people with way more than me.
Still, that's a lot of avatars.
That's a lot of avatars. I don't care what you say.
I think I'd have to look and see. I think Chimp has like 800 something, but Chimp and Lola both have been doing it way longer. So this was and now I'm just cut out the server processing moment here.
That's the best way to have it. Well, we have a blue person here today that's all diamonds and having a situation.
We get the Blue Man group here. Fantastic.
Yeah.
So here we go. Ooh. So this is the Fox 1.0, which, like I said, I mentioned a long time ago. And then I had fully modeled. And not that one. This one. We're going to go through this experience again. It's so great to have the Blue Man group on today, or at least one of the members.
And it's so great that they don't play music. They just like to be blue.
Here we go. So this is the first one that I'd actually fully modeled myself.
Oh, wow.
So in terms of my favorites, I kind of like to group them up into different generations.
Okay.
2.0, my favorite is, hilariously enough, one called Ostrich, and it's literally just the audio of Slimestickle reading the WikiHow on how to beat an ostrich. Like in a fight. It is literally just that. There's like a billboard with like each of the WikiHow images on it that I point to. At one point, he screams, "Go for the legs," and I pull out 2 human legs and put them in someone's face or something, and then do that. Another favorite is based off of all the Wile E. Coyote cartoons of like I pull out a bow and arrow and I shoot like a regular arrow twice. And then I pull out an arrow with a stick of TNT on it. I put it up there and then I fire the bow instead. And then the TNT blows up. So that's it. That's always a favorite, and I end up doing that every time I have a new model. Which then leads into 3.0.
Oh.
Right here.
Yep. I see it.
And then this one. The favorite on this one to me is Jerry's Uncle, which is based off of... No, it's not that one. It's Cowboy. Cowboy's fun because it's literally, I'm dressed as a cowboy, I have a revolver, and I play Big Iron. That's it. The revolver is... really long.
It makes me feel old. My God. Oh, my God.
It's just that kind of stuff that I end up enjoying. Another model that I made, which I'll go and pull this out, which I'm way too proud of this one. Once the server figures out what it's processing.
Hello again, Blue Man Group.
Should see when they play the drums.
I want to see one of them on a podcast, like an hour-long podcast, and just see how that goes.
None of them speak. If they were to come on a podcast, they would just sit there staring at the camera quietly for an hour.
Yeah, no doubt.
So here's Meat Canyon XUC.
Oh no!
You don't even have to even like put together, like what this is crazy, chat. Like it's crazy. Like it's kind of insane. When they do this,
No offense, but I think you got a piece of broccoli in your teeth.
Eat broccoli today. Where did I give you to come from?
Did you model this yourself? The me canning
Yes.
XQC? Oh.
Yes, this was my ultimate test of like how well can I model or how well can I make something horrible looking.
Ooh.
And it worked out. These hands are awful.
Oh my God.
Ooh.
Like,
Well, it's
just
very well modeled,
horrendous.
I'll say. For being
Yeah.
for being what it is, it looks really good.
Mm.
And then, of course, 4.0, which I haven't been able to do a whole lot of because this was about the tail end of like whenever I was like, okay, I'm going to transition out and then focus more on animation.
Hmm.
So, but this model I'm also still proud of.
Ooh. Okay.
And then I just hang it as this.
All right. So, where did the fox come from initially? What made you create that as a concept character? Choose that.
Another character I've had for years. Like I created the character like I think when I was in like early high school as another cartoon character. That was kind of about the same concept as what I do the avatars mostly for, is doing an experiment with something and it just going horribly wrong. It's not too different from like the Wile E. Coyote cartoons, but with like specific things like more sciencey type of things or like just a certain experiment and then being able to rotate kind of what the goal is with these experiments.
Okay.
So, and then that was kind of a character that kind of got shelved for a little while and then brought back for the Vrchat avatars because it's like, oh wait, there's this Fox character that I've had for a long time that I can bring into this and then make work for this for a while. So now the Fox is going to start transitioning over into being another shenanigans character for some of the cartoons, so that then I can use him for kind of more of the intended purpose. But he ended up being a really, really good character for doing the meme avatars.
Okay. So, with that being said, what were some of the trials and tribulations between all the mediums you've tried, between 2D games, VR, art, and animation? What were some of the tougher things for you to learn to do when getting into these fields?
I guess just keeping my brain on track, because I tend to put a lot of ideas and projects together very quickly, and so then it's just kind of like making sure that I'm able to balance that out. I tend to always keep a lot of these types of things like interconnected. So it's like, oh, with the avatars they can help with the game design, and then with the game design they can help with animation, and then the animation can help with the avatars, and then kind of doing the circle of making all these different types of things work in terms of like I can use each of these different things to improve on the other thing.
Okay.
So, but in terms of difficulties, yeah, I mean, just keeping up with it and being able to focus on each thing. So, because it's a lot to juggle.
How do you juggle?
My resume is weird.
Between like,
I
was take a look at your website a little while ago. Between all the animations you have on there, the game, and now the avatars you mentioned, how'd you juggle all that in a day job and everything?
It's a lot. It's a lot. It's one of those deals where it's like it happens on passion and like because it's just like how passionate I am for each of the different things. Like I'd mentioned, I'm phasing out avatars and stuff. I've just wanted to kind of start doing a lot of those less and less. But it's just kind of like each of these different things. Like this is really fun. And that's kind of at the end of the day, I was like, it is genuinely really, really fun to do. I've loved the creative process all my life. I love writing. I love animating things. I love being able to make the artwork, and I love doing all that kind of stuff. It's just kind of the passion of doing that kind of stuff. It's just like, I'm able to kind of drive myself to work on each thing. So in terms of actually managing it, there is no management. It's being ran by ADHD. There's no organization in any of this. So it's just literally like one day I'm working on something, I just work on that for most of the day. And it's literally just like, this is just so much fun to do.
Okay. So, with that being said, when you work on your art, some of the things I've heard from different creators of different types is keeping backup files. What is your process when working on art? Is it digital? Is it conventional? Is it a combination of both? How do you back up files in case things happen? What is that process like?
Hello, I'm actually here to interrupt the episode you're watching really quick to ask you a favor. Please come join us at any of the other locations we have. You can find us on YouTube and Spotify, both of which we post our episodes and are very up to date on both. We have Discord where you go to hang out all the time, where you're gaming and shooting the breeze over with many people over that way. Feel free to come join us. I invite you. If you wish to support us, we have a Patreon where we post a bunch of random bits, bobs, and extra podcast every once in a while for you to go enjoy. Also, if you wish to support us while in Vrchat, we're now part of the creator economy. So please come join if you wish to support us there. It's there for you to choose if you so wish. And thank you very much. And a special thanks to some of the people who have signed up on our Patreon, which are as follows. And I have written down so I'll remember. And that's a tough thing. Forbidden Zero, Niche, Aliquum, Future Oracle, Lesser Capybara, and Frozen. Thank you all very much. Enjoy the rest of the episode.
A lot of what I end up doing, like especially with concepts, I would always draw them out traditionally. I am probably one of the worst artists ever in terms of like what materials I use, because I literally just have a sketchbook and the like $5 you get 10 a pack big mechanical pencils. I don't use most normal art tools. I use literally like, oh hey, Dollar General. But all of my concepts are drawn traditionally in like a sketchbook or large paper or anything else like that. Other than that, like, is if I'm working on full pieces, it's all digital. So like the comics are all digital. Any color pieces or commissions I do are digital. And animation, that's also mostly digital. I do know how to do traditional animation on paper and all that kind of stuff, but most of the time I end up doing it on digital because a lot cheaper and I don't use it as paper. So and then for 3D animation, it's Blender because Blender's king. So, but yeah, in terms of like backing up files, iCloud.
Fair.
I got one for him, Wayne. If you had somebody come up and ask you what you're doing and everything else like this, and they want to know how to get started in something that you're doing, how would you go about doing it?
I would say picking it up and practicing, even if it's like 30 minutes a day, just practicing that thing. And I get that mainly from PewDiePie did a video not so long ago of him going through the journey of learning how to draw. And within 30 days, my God, like his first 5 to 10 days weren't fantastic, but he like you could see that he's trying and that he's learning. And whenever you get to about like, is if you watch a video, you get to about like day 25 to 30, you're like, holy crap, he improved just that much from just 30 days. And then he kept going with it and he did a whole bunch of really cool stuff. It's literally like 30 minutes to an hour a day, just picking it up, practicing, trying it out, seeing if you like it. If you come to about day 15 to 20 and you're like, I'm not liking this, then you can put it down. You're not super committed. You can put it down and then try something else. Because art isn't necessarily for everyone. Not everyone's going to, be able to pick up a pencil and draw things and be able to continue with it. It's one of those deals where it's like, it is definitely very for specific types of people that end up enjoying it. It can be a fun thing, but as if you really want to improve, that's essentially how you do it. It's just practicing. Like I said, it'll take like 10,000 bad drawings to be able to get started on some of the good drawings that you got. So it's just that practice, getting all those bad drawings out of you.
Okay.
So you mentioned before that you do 2D art and animation as well. Is the process between those two similar or different? How would one go about doing it?
Animation's a little bit funnier because there are other things like the other thing that I recommend for animation in particular is studying animation that you like. So if you like more realistic animation, study that and see what you can get from there and kind of the concepts that you can get from there. Is if you want to study more realistic stuff, hilarious enough, a lot of the Marvel stuff, especially like a lot of the larger CG characters, is really good. Jurassic Park is also a fantastic film to study if you're wanting to learn realistic animation. And then, of course, like, is if you're wanting something a little bit more cartoony, Bob Clampett, Looney Tunes cartoons. But it, like, studying the animation as well, like, because that is a much more longer process to go through. Because for reference, most animations will be 24 frames per second. That is 24 drawings for 1 second. And
Oh wow.
and you have to do that for a long time until you can get an animation that you really, really like. Like, it's taken me a long time to get to a point where it's like I'm that confident in animation to where I'm wanting to make a 3.5-minute cartoon. And there's like tests and other bits of animation that I've done to lead up to about this moment that I've done. So it's kind of studying that and then getting an idea and a feel for it, and then about the same way practicing it as well. You might want a little bit longer than 30 minutes to an hour with animation, but same kind of deal, practice and also studying.
Okay. So how would one go about studying animation in hopes to get into it? What did you do in order to learn?
Watch a lot of cartoons and then rewatching some of the bits of stuff that I really like. There's several different like things, like especially like in Wile E. Coyote cartoons where it's like that, like the animation is what sells those cartoons. So those are fantastic to watch because with those cartoons, they are a mix of kind of like some realisticness and then the slapstick rubber hosiness that Chuck Jones puts into there. So a lot of those types of cartoons I really end up studying, and then like is if there's an action that a character takes, like say in a moment like Daffy's sitting on a log and then another person's come up and tried to hit him with an axe. He then quickly goes over. If I want to know more about smear frames and like those quick actions, then that's at least a moment where it's like, okay, how many frames will that go? What does that curve look like of like from where his head is initially sitting at the log to going up to the person's face, screaming, "Watch it, Bob!" And then what types of stuff goes on there. So especially for like a Bob Clampett style, but those types of situations, like kind of looking at those types of things. Also reading and watching some YouTube videos on like the principles of animation, so the squash and stretch, motion, timing, and all that kind of stuff. So just learning about those principles as well.
So I have some dumb questions because I don't know. What are the principles of animation that you're referring to, and what is a smear frame?
The principles of animation are, and I'm not going to be able to remember all of them off the top of my head. I need to be better about that. But they are essentially, here's a set of things or a set of rules or a set of techniques that you can use to improve your animation. So the squash and stretch is literally like, if like a character is appearing out of a hole, their neck and their head are going to stretch up in a way to where then like their head's going to get a little bit skinnier, their neck will get curved in like this, and then they'll come back in, squash out to where then their head gets flattened and stretched out, their neck's shorter, and then they'll come back up into the on model pose. So that's at least one of the main examples of one of the principles. And then a smear frame is literally like if you see like some of the cursed Simpsons images of like every now and then a character will have 3 eyes or something. It's really like, how do we mimic motion blur without actual motion blur? So like, oh, we can draw the character twice. That's a smear frame where it's like, oh, it's drawn twice, or oh, in this motion it's stretched or something like that to mimic motion a little bit better.
Okay. So how many different styles of frames or framing is there to portray different actions or things happening in an animation?
a lot, and it varies depending on what animation style you're going for. So for anime in particular, especially a lot of different anime styles, you're going to be animating that a little bit differently because you're animating that on a much more budgetary system on animating on twos, which is you draw a frame every 2 frames, or you have a new frame every 2 frames. So then with that, you're going to animate a little bit differently, but depending on what anime you're doing, you may do it a little bit more realistically. So then you're not going to really use smear frames or squash and stretch as much. Because you're going for a much more realistic look, depending on what show you're doing. And then if you're doing like a Looney Tunes cartoon or One Piece, then you will employ some of those different animation techniques, like squash and stretch and those types of deals. So it just varies depending on what particularly you're working on.
Okay. So which of those styles do you prefer yourself, and what are some of your more favorite bits of animation you've done yourself within your work?
Again, depends on whatever the project is. So Sierra Bell, for anything that she will be animated in, will be the more anime style, probably a little bit more, probably won't rely too much on working on twos as much, but will probably be more of that animation style. So you probably won't see very much squash and stretch or anything crazy in that. You will definitely see smear frames for action shots, but other than that, not as much. For shenanigans, it would be the squash and stretch goofy stuff, which I do really like animating in that style, but I also really like the storytelling of doing a much more serious type of animation. Some of the animation that I'm really proud of is, some of the newer shenanigans cartoon stuff that I'm currently working on. Not a whole lot of footage is out of that because it's transitioning from being a 2D animated thing to a 3D. But
Okay.
some of the 2D work that I've even done for that, like in terms of like animating that kind of stuff, is like, I did good. I really like this. It's going about how I really, really want it to, and it's turning out really, really nice. So it's kind of a lot of the combination of certain different skills like 3D modeling, animation, 2D stuff, and all that kind of stuff that's just combined into this. So
Okay. So what made you want to switch shenanigans from 2D to 3D? And between the two mediums, which do you think would do the whole rubber hose Looney Tunes style storytelling that you like so much better? Or differently, what are different between them?
The reason for switching from 2D to 3D is time. Purely time, because I like drawing. I don't like drawing that much. To where I'm having to do that so much because it's the process of like sketching the keyframes and then penning them and then doing the in-betweens and then color and all that kind of stuff. With 3D, I'm able to make the character models and then reuse them for each of the different cartoons, and they're already colored. The line art is able to be handled in Blender. I can just adjust it, and then all that kind of stuff is able to be done in there. And as if you're able to make really good character rigs, which I've been able to do so far, if you're able to make really good character rigs and then do an animation style in 3D that mimics 2D pretty well, then you can still get rubber hose animation in 3D pretty well. Like there's plenty of things out there that really demonstrate it. I think a perfect example is The Amazing Digital Circus. Because that show have either of you guys seen it?
I have not. Would you mind telling us what it is?
It is a show created by the wonderful individual named Gooseworks, published by Glitch Productions, of a girl who has been transported into a digital world, or a digital circus world, and then just kind of the madness that happens from there, of just like, what is happening? This is weird. This is strange. This is chaotic. This is so much going on. And it's a dark comedy series, and the animation in it is absolutely superb. I cannot remember the animation director's name for the life of me, but he had already done like a ton of work on YouTube before, some fantastic work, and then it just gets turned up to the nth degree in Amazing Digital Circus of like, it is very rubber hose, it is very goofy, it is very wacky and cartoony, and it's still all in 3D. The whole show was rendered in Unreal Engine 5, and it is just a fun time from start to finish of the show. So it's a show like that, and then some other inspirations, particularly from like the latest Puss in Boots movie, Into the Spider-Verse, and a couple other different, and Flow here recently, which recently won an Oscar. Those types of things are kind of the inspiration for like, here's kind of what I'm wanting to go for, and kind of the proof of like, even though it's 3D, it can still be the goofiness of like what a Bob Clampett Looney Tunes cartoon can be.
Okay. So, with doing the two styles, was it easy to switch the shenanigans into when you first started starting to switch it, or did it take a little bit of finagling?
There's some finagling because of the way that particularly Dr. Wechter has been a challenge, but Simon and Sabrina are pretty easy because of just all I really need is the head shape and then the lines that are rigged for their brows, their bottom part of their mouth, or bottom part of their eyes, not mouth, their whole mouth, and then the pupils. Those rigs are pretty simple to do. Wechter's a little bit more of a challenge because his mouth is the size of his head, and so then just kind of learning with that. But other than that, like, it's not been too hard because a lot of the shapes, like, it's kind of breaking those characters down into the shapes that they are and then modeling those shapes and then putting them together.
Okay.
So it's kind of been that process.
Okay.
And then thanks to Vrchat, I've improved my modeling skills where it's like, I can do that pretty easily at this point.
Now, to you, did any of the characters from Shenanigans feel different when they went 3D?
They feel a little bit different, but that's just because of a little bit of the visual aspect. All of the rendering isn't locked down quite yet, but my goal is to try and keep them to where, they're not too different from, how I would draw them, to where it's like, okay, how do I pose them to where it's like posing for the camera? Like, what do I need to do in order to make them pose in a way, but still make it look like it's, something that I could draw on paper? That kind of idea.
Okay. So, with that said, what, with the storytelling with Shenanigans, did that change at all once go 3D, or did it stay the same as well with the different medium?
They're the same. They are the same. Simon and Sabrina are the same lunatics. Ray will be the same, like, kind-hearted cat, and Beast will still be dumb. Like, those characters will not change. Wechter also will not change. Like, in terms of all of their characteristics, they will still be the same way. It's just with the cartoons, you'll be able to see those characters do more of what they're supposed to do.
Okay. And may I ask the inspirations behind the characters? What inspired you to create them specifically? The ones you have in the show.
So for Simon and Sabrina, Simon came first of all of the. I'll go and bring Wechter of all the 5 characters. So then Simon, Sabrina, Ray, Beast, and Wechter, Dr. Wechter. Simon was the first character that I had, with another one of those characters that I had since early middle school or even like late elementary, that I just had and refined, similar to Sarah Bell, that I just had for a long time and just refined over time until whenever me and Gardner were friends and she was helping me with my artwork and stuff, she literally was like, hey, let's just do a redesign of a lot of these characters that you have. And so then we refined all those characters and made them look the way that they do now, which I love the way that they look now. They are fantastic. Credits to Garden for that one. She is an amazing artist. She is fantastic. She's the one who drew the fox in the Mythos Makers logo.
Oh.
So that is her drawing.
Oh, wow.
So, but Simon was one of those characters that continued for a long time. And then I think about mid-high school, Sabrina came in to be Simon's sister. And they are, what I love about it is that they are cartoon characters, but because they're brother and sister, they are able to work together super well against a common enemy or for a common goal. And then they all can also have the sibling rivalry of working against each other and doing things to antagonize each other. So I am so excited to be able to do both of those sides of the coin. To where it's like they've already been shown to be able to work together really well, but I really want to push that forward, and then I really, really want to show off how they can work against each other. There's a cartoon right now that I've written. It'll be one of the later episodes that I end up doing where they're both trying to play on the one piano, and then just the insanity that ensues of them just at each other's throats, both trying to play this piano. But I love those two characters for that reason. They are phenomenal for that. Ray and Beast both came in at the same time for the Shenanigans game as two extra characters that I had ended up making for that particular project. And then they ended up just kind of sticking with like, these two characters have a lot of really good potential. Ray is more like a more kind-hearted, not as crazy bonkers type of character, but kind of a character that's like she does what she can to protect like the nature that's around her. So like she lives in a forest, she has a little like hut in the forest, and then she protects the wildlife and the nature within that area. And though she's more kind of like how Tweety Bird is in Looney Tunes, where it's like she's more of a defender type of character, and then all the other stuff just kind of comes in and tries to attack, but fails horribly. And then Beast is, I mean, as I've described, no brain, but is kind of like a golem to Ray, and it's kind of more of the super slapstick type of the slapstick character to be able to just like see an enemy, punch it, and it goes all the way from here to Texas, like that type of thing.
Okay. Oh, so when you first thought of these characters and inspired them, what was your reaction to seeing them like drawn out and moving in an animation for the first time?
Oh, just fun, just glee and fun. Like it's so fun to see these characters doing things and to see them move. Like whenever I did the initial like 3D test animation for Simon, I was like, this looks fantastic. I'm so ready for this. Like that kind of thing, to where it's like more of that energy to like keep going with some of the other different things. It's always just fun to see the result. My God, it's tiring to get there, but it is fun to see that as well, and then go off of that high and continuing forward with some of the next few things.
Okay. So after hearing the entire history of everything you've done so far, what's it like looking back at everything you've achieved so far?
Oh my God, there's a lot. My resume is really wacky. Like I was on Novid's show whenever I came to the realization that I had been doing Avatar since 2021, and it was like, oh, so to like really like in terms of, like the scope of like a lot of stuff that I've done, it's like if I die tomorrow, I would still be proud of what I have been able to accomplish. Because even outside of all the different projects, there's a ton of other things that I've done throughout my life, to where it's like I've been able to do a whole lot within what is essentially like a quarter of a century of my life at this point. And it's like I am really proud of that, and now I am even more excited for the next like quarter of century of my life, or so, or for the rest of my life. Like, what else can I do? What else can I be able to push myself to do and to be able to achieve, even with like as little resources as I have now? Like, I've been able to do this. What else can I do in the future now? That's the excitement that I get from there.
Okay. So with that said, for those who enjoy what you're working on, or those who are just finding you for the first time, what can people look forward to seeing come from in the future? What are you working on?
Like I said, the cartoon, I should be able to. I was hoping to get it out before PJKT. That is not going to happen. So this year, I will be trying to get the first actual Shenanigans cartoon out sometime this year. Other than that, I've been on a weird hiatus again with the Searbell comics. I should be able to get back into that here soon as well. So all of that stuff, all of the CBO comics are on mythosmakers.com. And then the Shenanigans cartoon will be on my personal YouTube channel as well.
Okay. Now, last couple of questions before we start wrapping this up is, where does your name come from, and why do you still use it in VRChat?
Where my name comes from? My dad gave that to me when I was born, and then I don't know where my last name came from.
Ah.
Yeah, that could be a little on the hard side, yeah.
So I did that whenever I was in college, whenever I was in art school, because a lot of times for artwork and stuff like that, that's what you would end up using. And then just throughout all the time, it's like, well, it's been public ever since. I don't think I'm ever going to get away from it. And so it's like, I'm just going to stick with it. I know the dangers. I know the issues. Trust me, I've taken all the precautions to make sure that nothing bad happens. But for the most part, that reaction is not new to me.
Okay.
So,
Oh. And the avatar you're in, why'd you choose it? Why do you still use it? And is there anything about it that means anything?
that is the most comfortable avatar I've been. It's the one male base that I've been able to find that isn't like e-boy, goth, or super twink, because I'm not none of those three things, or super buff. I'm none of those four things. It's the only male base that I'm able to find that isn't any of those things. That at least it's like, okay, I can feel pretty good about this base, and I think I'm just gonna keep with it because it's like, in terms of VRChat stuff, I mostly just hang out and be goofy and tell stupid jokes that I end up hearing from Conan O'Brien. So,
Okay. Well, thank you very much for sharing all of that with us. It's been an absolute honor being able to meet you and hear everything about you and your talent. So
Yes.
thank you.
yeah,
Very much so. We appreciate
I-
it so
it's been
much.
fun. I love talking about me.
Well, there you go. Can't beat the beat around the bush on that one, no matter how you look at it. Yeah, no problem.
Fair enough.
I love the comedy of like with like different businesses of like on other people's streams and just in general, it's just like the egotistical John. I love doing it so much because it's very not too far from like Conan O'Brien's sense of humor of that type of dude. It's like doing that, and then later, I'll probably do a joke on myself later or something like that. So, I
Whoa.
love that kind of stuff.
So, with that said, where can the audience find you if they wish to reach out and find you or your work?
I have a couple of different places where you can find me. So, of course, like I said, mythosmakers.com is the platform that I run. You can find the Sierra Bell comics on there, as well as links to Project Valkyrie, which is the comic that ZM Art makes, and a couple other different things that a few others end up making, including Maslip Bubbles Twitch streams, Bunny Girl 93's VA work, and all that kind of stuff. You can find me on YouTube. My name John Coday. On YouTube, you can find all of my previous videos of my VRChat memes, as well as any future stuff that I do, including the cartoons and all of my animation stuff. You can actually find some of my animation work in progress stuff on my second YouTube channel, John Cody Extras. What you drinking?
Oh, who's asking?
Man, I ain't drinking any. I ain't
making-
drinking anything. I was watching it. I was watching a dog walk by to see what he was doing.
I've got Sprite.
Oh, I got peach tea. That's what I'm
Oh,
drinking.
that's great. Oh, Peachy's great. And then my Twitch streams on twitch.tv/John Coday, where I stream about twice a month. I am horrible at Twitch streaming, and I know it. I only just collaborate with people whenever I feel like it.
Oh, well, again, John, thank you very much for your time.
Mhm.
It was an honor to hear from you. And all of those
Yes.
links will be in
Yeah,
the
no
description
problem.
for you to find. The audience member, if you're to scroll down on YouTube and go to description and show more, in the section we have labeled guest links. So we're all there for you to find. If you're on Spotify, it'll be in the episode description. Same place, same label. And with that said,
You can
Les-
also find
Ooh.
the other podcast that I'm on, Final 3 Brain Cells, with myself, Nano, and Gears, where I'll talk about some projects, but then I'll just talk about weird things, including Mark Hamill and camels.
Well, most definitely also check out the 3 Brain Cells. Great group of folks. They're over at PJKT during the summer, at least when I met them the first time. So, also, quick shout out, PJKT. You should definitely go to discord.gg/PJKT if you're a VRChat community and sign up. Applications are still open. Do it now.
Yes,
Summer.
PJKT's fantastic.
Gonna be in June 27th through the 7th. If I got those dates right, if not, I'm probably gonna get yelled at. Whatever. Whatever.
That sounds about right.
But with that said, we'll ask you, the audience member, a question as well. For you, what is a childhood cartoon you remember a lot of? For me, it's going to be a combination of Looney Tunes and Billy and Mandy. A couple of them I remember. Rocko's Modern Life as
that's
well.
a good one.
So really good cartoons I enjoyed growing up. And Ed and Eddie, the good old classics. With that said, folks, let us know what they are. We'll see you in the Metaverse. Raptor, you know the thing?
There for almost. He almost shut it all down just before he even got started.
Almost, but he
He
did.
almost did. He almost shut it down, folks. Like, okay, I'm not here no more. Okay, I'm in the corner. Like they say, no matter what, like a Looney Tune, if you are a Looney Tune like me, and grew up with them and everything else, knowing that John's a Daffy Duck fanatic and everything else like this, if you know this theme and everything situation, do you want to shoot him now or wait until you get home? Yeah, I'll wait until I go home. Yeah, we'll talk to you later. Bye.
Raptor, gotta be careful when you say actions like that.
Well, I was going by the cartoon.
Some people aren't that smart.
Rabbit season.
Elmer Fudd season. Yeah, all that, yeah. I wonder if you can ride the train and go inside the fucking over there. That'd be cool.
That would be cool. How big that wall is.
Goes
though.
in there and goes around. Why? And it goes around.
Oh, it does. Holy shit.
Fuck yeah, it goes fucking around. I don't know where it goes. Like I said, I just got here. I don't know where everything is.
Huh.
I have to check this place out.
Definitely. We're gonna have to.
There's another one. There's another one I got to show you that It's
Oh?
called the. Yeah, hold on. Another one is called the Cozy Woods. That one's cool.
Oh, okay. We're definitely gonna have to check that out too. There's a bunch we're gonna have to check out.
Yeah, there's some new ones in.